Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're totally decoding the 2025 CPS Energy Retiree Benefits Guide. The goal here is simple. Let's break down this crucial information so you can make the absolute best choices for your health, your family, and, of course, your wallet. Open enrollment is always a pivotal time, but this year, it brings some major updates that really need your focused attention. So let's jump right in.
We've got a quick 6-step roadmap for you today. We're going to hit open enrollment essentials, navigating Medicare coordination, comparing your medical plans, smart options for care, maximizing healthcare accounts, and finally, navigating your pharmacy benefits.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, 2025 Open Enrollment Essentials. First things first, grab your calendar and mark these dates right now. Your enrollment window is strictly between October 21st and November 8th. You absolutely do not want to miss this tight window, because whatever elections you lock in by that November 8th deadline are going to become officially effective on January 1, 2025. So why do you need to pay closer attention this year than ever before? Well, the guide explicitly lays out some pretty significant increases for 2025. You're going to see bumps to your monthly premiums, your medical plan deductibles, and those out-of-pocket maximums. Since costs are shifting across the board, just letting your current coverage roll over on autopilot might not be the smartest financial move this time around. Now, I really need to pause for a second and emphasize a stark rule straight from the source text. If you choose to waive your health coverage for 2025, that is a final, permanent decision. There's no way around it. You won't be allowed to re-enroll at a later date under any circumstances. So please, weigh this choice carefully and make 100% sure you have alternative long-term coverage totally secured before you even think about checking that box. Moving right along to Section 2, Navigating Medicare Coordination. Let's establish the baseline here. Medicare is your go-to health insurance if you fall into one of three buckets. You're age 65 or older, you're under 65 but have certain qualifying disabilities, or you have end-stage renal disease. Now, this coverage is made up of Part A for hospital stays, Part B for medical visits, and Part D for your prescriptions. The key thing to remember is that when you hit 65 or meet those criteria, Medicare immediately steps up as your primary insurance. That means it pays first long before your CPS Energy plan even enters the picture. So, how does that coordination actually work behind the scenes? Well, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas uses an incredibly simple equation. First, they figure out what your CPS Energy plan, whether that's Plan A, B, or C, would normally pay if Medicare didn't even exist. Let's just call that amount X. Then they look at what Medicare already covered, which we'll call Y. They subtract Y from X and simply pay you the difference. But here's the huge takeaway. You have to elect Medicare Part B immediately when you're eligible. If you don't, you'll be stuck paying the full amount that Medicare would have covered right out of your own pocket. Okay, let's look under the hood in Section 3, Comparing your medical plans. What's super interesting here is how the actual numbers shake out. You've got three options: Plan A PPO, Plan B PPO, and Plan C, which is your high-deductible health plan. Pay really close attention to the trade-off between the deductibles and out-of-pocket maximums. For instance, Plan B offers the lowest upfront individual deductible at just $850, but it actually carries the highest individual out-of-pocket maximum, sitting at $5,600. On the flip side, Plan C requires a higher deductible right out of the gate, but it caps your worst-case out-of-pocket liability at the lowest amount, just $3,400. Oh, and a great perk? Preventative care is completely covered with a $0 copay across all three plans, which is fantastic. Speaking of worst-case scenarios, it's absolutely vital to keep a number like $10,200 in the back of your mind. That figure represents the absolute family in-network out-of-pocket maximum if you're on Plan A. Look, we always hope for a perfectly healthy year, but knowing this upper limit exists really helps you mentally and financially prepare, just in case your family faces significant unexpected medical events. All right, let's pivot to Section 4, Smart Options for Care. We've all been there, right? You get sick on a weekend or late at night, and your primary care doctor is totally booked or closed. Rushing to the absolute closest medical facility might feel like the best idea in the heat of the moment. But rushing to the wrong facility can cost you a small fortune. It really all boils down to knowing your site of care options. Building on that whole cost conversation, you absolutely must know the difference between an urgent care center and a freestanding emergency room. Honestly, they often look identical from the street, but the way they bill you is like night and day. An urgent care center is basically an extension of your primary doctor for non-life-threatening things like sprains or minor infections, and going there can literally save you hundreds of dollars. A freestanding ER, however, is strictly for severe life-threatening conditions and carries a massive price tag. Always double-check the name on the building. If you confuse a freestanding ER for an urgent care center just because they slapped the word emergency on the sign, you could get hit with a devastating balance bill for a super minor issue. But hey, physical health is only half the battle, right? Emotional wellness is a massively vital component of your overall health. The great news is your medical plan totally covers behavioral and mental health services. This includes really convenient resources like MD Live virtual therapy. You can get confidential one-on-one counseling from a licensed therapist right from your living room. It's an incredible tool for adapting to changes and just handling life's everyday stresses. In fact, the guide highlights what they call the Big Five of emotional wellness, which are just solid, highly effective habits to build up your mental resilience. We're talking about practicing mindfulness and staying present, actively strengthening your social connections, even if it's just firing off a quick text to a friend, prioritizing quality sleep by ditching the screen before bed, consciously improving your outlook, and tackling stress head-on through exercise and positive framing. Weaving these habits into your daily routine, plus knowing you have amazing free 24/7 resources like the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, really ensures you stay mentally strong. Let's dive into Section 5, Maximizing Healthcare Accounts. Okay, it is time to untangle a little alphabet soup. HCA versus HSA. Your age actually dictates the specific tools you have access to here. The HCA, or healthcare account, is exclusively for post-65 retirees who enroll in Plan A. It's entirely employer-funded, the contributions are totally non-taxable, and it reimburses you for out-of-pocket medical expenses. On the flip side, you have the HSA, or Health Savings Account, which is specifically for pre-65 retirees on Plan C. This one is individually owned by you, allows for your own tax-deductible contributions, and honestly the best part, the funds roll over from year to year with absolutely no vesting limits. Now, if you're eligible for and actively using that HSA, $4,300 is a critical number to remember. That is the 2025 IRS maximum funding limit for an individual retiree. Keep in mind, your HSA contributions are tax-deductible, the money grows tax-free, and as long as you spend it on qualified medical expenses, it comes out tax-free too. Maxing this out is a brilliant way to build a really powerful tax-free nest egg for your future healthcare needs. And finally, we've arrived at Section 6, Navigating your pharmacy benefits. The best news here is that they've kept things super simple. Your medical and pharmacy benefits are conveniently tied together on a single ID card. The pharmacy program itself is administered through CVS Caremark. And honestly, using Caremark.com is going to be your best strategy. When you log on, you get 24/7 secure access to set up mail order prescriptions, which is a massive time saver, by the way, figure out your exact medication costs, and easily check for generic alternatives, which your plan definitely favors, to help keep your out-of-pocket costs down. Which brings us to our final thought for today. Navigating healthcare changes can definitely feel a bit daunting, especially in a year where premiums and deductibles are on the rise. But armed with all this knowledge, you are fully equipped to take the wheel. So ask yourself, how are you going to use these tools, plans, and accounts to make the absolute smartest decisions for your family's health and wealth? Remember, the clock is ticking. You only have until November 8th to lock in your strategy. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy planning.